Hello all, welcome back to Sentinels How-Tos. Today I got a rootin' tootin' hero for ya. It's Chrono-Ranger. He's the time-traveling cowboy. He's a type of chip damage hero. A lot of his cards make him do just one damage. In fact, every single one-shot he has always adds deal one target, one projectile damage. So he's basically a chipper. He's a complexity 2 hero. His innate power is also quick shot. Chrono-Ranger deals one target, one projectile damage. His unique keyword card is bounty. So he has 6 different types of bounty cards, and they can be played on next to targets, which will have various different effects based on the one you play. And there's no copies for the bounties. One of each kind. And there's only 6 kinds. He also has 6 different equipment cards. One different ongoing that's not a bounty. And 7 different one-shots. So, let's just jump right into this. Again, his innate power, dealing 1 projectile damage. Alright. So, the first bounty, by any means, play this card next to a non-hero target. Increase damage dealt to that target by 1. When that target leaves play, destroy this card. So, you'll mainly want to play this card next to the main villain. That way you can do just that 1 bit extra damage to him every time you damage him or her. Of course, unless you're fighting, say, the Dreamer, then you want to maybe put this somewhere else. But yeah, pretty great bounty. And then there's 1 copy of it, by the way, just so you know. Dead or Alive, also just 1 copy. Play this card next to a non-hero target. At the start of your turn, Chrono-Ranger regains 1 HP. When that target leaves play, draw 1 card and destroy this card. So, again, there's 2 different fun options for this. You could put it on the main villain and just regain 1 HP at the start of every turn of yours. Or, you could put it on like a weak target and quick destroy it to get an extra card. That is also an option. That's why it's called Dead or Alive. Your choice! But I mainly use it for regaining HP because that's really good. Now, if you do want cards for killing a target, you'll want Kill on Sight. Play this card next to a non-hero target. When that target leaves play, draw 3 cards and destroy this card. Really good bounty. Does not last long, but you just put it on like a little weak target, maybe a little minion from the villain or whatever, or just something from the environment, and someone kills it as soon as it leaves play by whatever means. You get 3 cards, and this card goes in your trash. So, yay. This one's fun and especially good for Baron Blade. No executions. Play this card next to a non-character card target. When that target would be destroyed, put it on the bottom of its deck instead. Then destroy this card. So, when it's destroyed, instead of going in the trash like it would be put on the bottom of the deck. That's good for Baron Blade because he is a trash counter to pull the moon into the earth. So, good for that, or good for anything else, really. I'm sure you could find more uses for it. This one's really good. The Ultimate Target. Play this card next to a non-hero target. Increase damage dealt by only Chrono-Ranger to that target by 1. And the first time that target deals damage each turn, you may use a power. Again, I usually prefer to play this next to the main target, the villain, because assuming it's a villain that actually deals damage every turn, it's really useful, because then they do damage and you can just quick use a power on them, and it's really good. And the extra bit of damage, again, just by you to that target, is also really helpful as well. So there is that. Lastly, the whole gang. Play this card next to a non-hero target. When that target leaves play, you may destroy a target with 4 or fewer HP, then destroy this card. So if you're like dealing with a bunch of multiple targets, put this one on like one that's pretty low on health, destroy it, and then it'll allow you to destroy another target with 4 or fewer HP without having to worry about dealing damage to it. It's pretty good. Those are all his bounties, and they're all really useful in their own ways. Next, he has his equipment cards. All but one of them give him extra powers to use instead of just the regular 1 bit of damage. Like, there's Compound Bow. Power. Chrono-Ranger deals 1 target, 1 projectile damage, and 1 damage of a type of your choice. So, excuse me. So 2 total damage across 2 separate attacks, which would each individually get their own increases. So that can be like using 2 of that kind of power with just this 1 power. And it's any damage type of your choice, so that's neat. It's a really, really, really useful, well, it's just a really useful equipment card. It's a nice little bow. Then there's Danny Boy. Power. Chrono-Ranger deals up to X targets 2 fire damage each, where X equals the number of bounties in play. So if you had all of them in play, you could be doing 6 different targets 2 fire damage each, and that's pretty nasty in a good way. Then there's the one you want to get as soon as possible, Jim's Hat. It allows him to play an additional card during his play phase, and at the start of your turn, you may destroy a bounty card. I don't know why you would do that, but you can do that. It is certainly a thing that you can do. If you, like, do not actually want to have it next to the target you put it next to, you can destroy it and put it next to something a little later. So yeah. But it's really great for playing 2 cards during your play phase. Next up we have the Neurotoxin Dart Thrower. All these have 1 copy so far, by the way. I'll tell you when something doesn't just have 1 copy. Power. Chrono-Ranger deals 1 target, 1 toxic damage. Reduce damage dealt to that target. Dealt by that target by 1 until the start of your next turn. So you shoot them with this, they deal 1 less damage until the start of your next turn, and that's really good. Moderately good. There's the Masada. Power. Chrono-Ranger deals 1 target, X irreducible energy damage, where X equals the number of bounty cards in play. So, if you have all the bounty cards in play, this will be dealing a base damage of 6, and it's irreducible, which means no damage reduction works on this. So that's a really good. And then, last one, we have the Temporal Grenades. There's 2 copies of this card. Chrono-Ranger deals up to 3 targets 1 energy damage each. You may destroy 1 ongoing or environment card, then destroy this card. So it's like a one-time use, but it's super useful. So yeah, if you have a villain card that went into play or an environment card that went into play that you don't really like being in play, use the Temporal Grenade on it. It's great. That's that for all the equipment cards. Then you have the ongoing cards that are not bounties, because bounties are also ongoing, but I wanted to put them in separate places. Hunter and Hunted. There's 3 copies of this card. It's increased damage dealt to and by Chrono-Ranger by the number of bounty cards in play. And then the power is to destroy this card if you don't want that anymore. So if you have all of them in play, you get +6 damage dealt by you and +6 damage dealt to you. So it's kind of a, I guess the term would be a double-edged sword, isn't it? So I only see like a few uses for this. I would not have it out all the time, otherwise you're just gonna die quickly. Use it if you know that Chrono-Ranger will never be dealt damage, or to be dealt damage as little as possible. Say if you had a Legacy in play and you can redirect any villain damage dealt to a different hero to Legacy, then that's the way to get past the extra damage to you, and then you can just deal a whole bunch of extra damage. Or if it's gonna be like a one-time use deal, I can sometimes be able to, play this at the start of my turn when the villain is almost dead, and then finish it off with a lot of extra damage. And if I don't, then by that time I'm usually also low on health, and then I'll die if I get hit. But at least the villain would be much, much, much lower on health from that. So use this card wisely. Next, he has his one-shots, all of which make him do 1 damage. So that's just great. First, there's Bounty Board. There's 2 copies of this card. Move all bounty cards from your trash into your hand. Chrono-Ranger may deal 1 target, 1 projectile damage. If you have a whole bunch of bounty cards in your trash that you want to be able to play again, use this card. And it's good for the extra bit of damage as well. Next, there's Ranger's Mark. There's 3 copies of this card. Put a bounty card into play from your trash. Chrono-Ranger may deal 1 target, 1 projectile damage. So, again, if you have something in your trash that you want to play right now, instead of having to just put it in your hand, use this card on it. Because it really sucks when a villain destroys one of your bounties, because they are ongoing, so that is a thing that they can do sometimes. And it's good for the extra bit of damage as well. So, yeah. Then, there's the damagey one-shot. Terrible Tech Strike. 3 copies of this card. Chrono-Ranger deals 1 target, 2 melee damage. Chrono-Ranger deals 1 target, 1 projectile damage. It's damage, and they can be dealt to 2 separate targets or the same target. And then, now this one's great. Eye on the Prize. There's 4 copies of this card. Chrono-Ranger may deal 1 target, 1 projectile damage. You may draw a card, you may play a card. I had it once where I had all 4 of these in my hand at once. I played one, so I got to deal a bit of damage, then draw an extra card, and then allowed me to play a card. So I played the next one, allowed me to do a bit of damage, draw a card, then play the next card. So I played the next one and the next one. It's just great. Or, of course, it'll help me get more cards drawn as well, obviously. So it's useful, and it's just a free card to play because it allows you to play an extra card by the end of it. Just do that when you can, or, save them for when you have a bunch of your buffs up and can deal a whole bunch of damage instead of just the one. So yeah. Next we have Displaced Armory. There are 4 copies of this card. This is the Get Your Equipment card. Search your deck or trash for an equipment card and put it into play. If you search your deck, shuffle your deck. Chrono-Ranger may deal 1 target, 1 projectile damage. The first one of these you ever play, if you don't have the hat, I would very strongly suggest getting the hat first. And then whatever strategy you want to go for with the different types of weapons, go for that. So, yeah. Really, really darn useful card. Especially if someone destroyed your equipment card that you were mainly using. It says you can get it from the trash as well and immediately put that into play. So it's good. Just doing my job. There's 4 copies of this card. Each player may discard 1 card. Draw X cards, where X equals the number of cards discarded this way. Chrono-Ranger may deal 1 target, 1 projectile damage. So if you're in need of some better cards to play, because to be honest, you'll be playing a lot of them, and then you'll be left with some ones that you might not want to be playing quite at that moment. Ask around the table. Ask, hey, does anyone have some cards they're willing to discard so I can get some more cards? It's fine. Don't be nervous. Just ask if you need it. You're just trying to do your job. So if you're playing with more people, if they all discard a card, you'll be able to get a lot more cards than if you're playing with a small amount of other people. So 3 if you're playing with 3 heroes, 4 if you're playing with 4 heroes, 5 if you're playing with 5 heroes. There. Sudden Contract. There's 4 copies of this card. This is your Get My Bounty card. Search your deck for a bounty card and put it into play. Shuffle your deck. Chrono-Ranger may deal 1 target, 1 projectile damage. Note that it does not say that you can get one from your trash. That's what these are for. So this helps you get your bounties out, and there's plenty of them. So, yeah. Again, I'd like to start with the one that makes the main villain take a whole bunch of extra damage. And if you already have that, or you're playing against the Dreamer or something, maybe use Kill on Sight for extra cards, or the Ultimate Target, because why not? Or if you're dealing with a whole bunch of targets, the whole gang. Useful. All these are useful. Dead or Alive, also useful. So do that. So that is all of his cards. Now a quick rerun, since we got a little bit of extra time left. When you're getting an equipment card, if you have these to work with before you draw any of these, here's some things you should note. Might want to always get the hat as soon as possible so you can play even more cards. Then there's 4 different kinds of damagey cards that you could be using. There's the one that allows you to hit twice, the one that allows you to hit multiple targets based on the amount of bounties you have in play, the one that allows you to make the villain or whatever you hit deal a little less damage, and the one that allows you to do a whole bunch of damage to one target based on the amount of bounties you have in play. So, yeah. This is really good when you have a lot of buffs, because if you are somehow dealing plus 4 damage and you hit twice, you'd be the 1 plus the 4, so 5, and then 1 plus the 4, so another 5, so a total of 10. Or making someone do less damage, also useful. Or if you're dealing with a bunch of targets, I really strongly suggest you use Danny Boy. Or the Masada if you have a whole bunch of bounties in play for those 2. Temporal Grenades, you'll want to get them if you have a card in play that you don't like that you want to get out of play. Like a villain ongoing card or environment card. I don't remember the order these went in. Here we go, that looks right. Oops. And for your bounties, make sure you get this one out as early as possible, so everyone who would be hitting all your allies or whatever that would be hitting the main villain would just deal that one little bit of extra damage. It is so useful and really makes Chrono-Ranger work. To make Chrono-Ranger work even more, play this also next to that main villain so he can do just 1 extra damage to it. For more cards, use this one or this one if you want. It's optional, but only gets you 1 card when you destroy a target, or 3 cards when you destroy a target next to this. This one can be used for just a little longer lasting Chrono-Ranger for that little bit extra health. This has certain situations it's useful for. Here are a few. When you're playing against Baron Blade, maybe put it next to a minion if you're worried about him getting a lot of cards in his trash. Or put it next to the main villain, keep it in play for the whole game. That way it acts as an extra bounty card for that and that. Useful. The whole gang, very also useful for either dealing with a whole bunch of targets or for an extra bounty count. And again, please use this very sparingly. Please. Thank you. Don't leave it in play for too long if you're gonna also be taking a lot of damage frequently, because you'll be taking as much extra damage as you'll be dealing extra damage. Fixing the cards. That's how you play Chrono-Ranger. He's actually fairly simple, and if you set him up good, he's kinda overpowered. And again, if you don't have the cards you want, ask some friendos, or play a bunch of those for extra damage, or that. Get your bounties back with those. That's all. This is Chrono-Ranger. He's not that difficult. Incapacitated abilities, sure. One player may play a card now. One hero may use a power now. One hero may deal 1 target 1 projectile damage now. I don't think I always read those out, but you're welcome. So that's Chrono-Ranger. Fairly simple, even though he's a complexity 2. I am Base Flash. And yeah. Join me in the next episode where I will be showing you and teaching you how to play La Commodora. Stay healthy, stay safe. See you next time. Bye.